At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines, regardless of gender, and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Hello everyone. We want to give a quick shout out to our amazing partner, Rilla, the game changer in the home service industry. Rilla's virtual ride-along software means no more physical ride-alongs. With Rilla, you can coach your team virtually 100 times faster and boost your close sale rates like never before. Don't miss out. Join the movement today and watch your sales soar. Visit rilla.com/PWT to learn more.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Power Women of the Trades with Cassie and Heather. Today we have Karen May with us, and I am really excited for Karen to be on the podcast because Karen and I go way back. Like, Karen, when do you think we met?
I'm going to say 2018. It was pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was definitely pre-COVID. So our story, Heather was like, who's Karen? And I was like, well, first of all, you're going to love her. And then second, I think everybody needs a Karen in their life. Like, Karen is the real shit. Okay. So let me tell you the story. So we met through the Housecall Pro group, right? And then back then, the Housecall Pro Facebook group was super active. There were a lot of people, like some of the like industry influencers, if I say, started in the Housecall Pro group, truly, right?
Yes.
And then started growing our businesses from there, right? And so in 2018-ish, back then, I've always been Cassie and I've always been pretty outspoken. I know we say that every episode. I think that's a trend.
Everybody knows.
But I, had a pretty big voice in that group. At one point, we started traveling with Housecall Pro to their shows that they were having which they were like masterminds, mini conferences, like one-day conferences, and it would showcase their product. Housecall Pro did really good back then. If I'm being honest, like looking at it from a marketing perspective, like they were, and it was all pre-COVID. So I think that it would have maintained for a long time had COVID not taken it out, basically. But they would have these little like pop-up masterminds across the country, and they did a really good job of getting contractors there. And so they would have me and Oscar, there's like Jen, there's some other people that would go to these conferences. They didn't pay us to go. We were just using the exposure for ourselves. I mean, they'd pay our flight sometimes or whatever, right? We'd go to these conferences. Well, anyways, we met Karen. And actually, we met Karen through just the group. And I don't think we actually met in person, Karen, until the Lady
Pros
in Dallas. And I think still to this day, Karen, we've talked on FaceTime. It's funny because that's the great thing about technology is I feel like we're pretty tight. Like we might not talk every day or even sometimes monthly, but pretty tight. If you need me, you're calling me. If I need to talk to you, we're talking. But I think we've only actually met in person one time.
I'm pretty sure it was only Lady Pros.
Yeah, Lady Pros. But we've FaceTime so much that I feel like I
think that's kind of the way that things have gone, though, when, with these groups. And I, unfortunately, have never used Housecall Pro. I'm familiar with it. We were on Field Edge or Desco ESC before Service Titan. So I kind of missed out on the Housecall Pro interactions. But I think to some degree, especially since COVID, that home service industry kind of became really connected through Facebook, to help each other out through kind of something that none of us had never navigated before.
No, not at all. And I also just think it's because we're both women, literally in a man's world, and just easy to connect over that. And the craziness that we have to deal with every day.
For sure. So Karen, tell us about your company and how you guys got started, and then we'll kind of talk more on you. But tell us about Maze.
So we are in our 10th year of business. My husband and I are the owners. Brian is 45 and he started doing HVAC when he was 15 with his dad. So he and I have been together almost 25 years, and he's done obviously HVAC the entire time we've been together. And he said one day he's always wanted a company, and that was something we knew early on. And we started out by doing side work like most people and kind of built that little base till we are like, okay, it's shit or get off the pot, literally. So he quit his full-time job in 2016, and here we are. We have a team of 9. We're not huge. We have no plans of being a huge company by no means, but there's 9 of us out there.
So what I love about this, and when Karen, she was like, so you want me to be on the podcast? Like, what is our topic? And I was like, I mean, what are you passionate about? And then she was like, oh gosh. And then I said, okay, wait, actually, can we talk about the different ways to grow and have a business? Because what I think is great about Karen is they are fine and content with a team of 9 in the business that they have grown. They have made a healthy income for themselves and their son. They have a beautiful home. They have beautiful things. They're looking at purchasing land, right? Is that still a thing?
I don't know. We're debating because JR's a senior, or he'll be a senior next year. So if he goes to college for swimming, or if he doesn't do college, we are not committing to anything right now. We're going to hopefully ride it out and not have any issues here for the next year.
Well, good. But so there's things like you're comfortable, you're happy, you're fine, you're good with your 9
We have
people.
2 houses. We have a beach house. We've got all the toys we want. We're happy with the team of 9. We will probably add, like, I think the max that Maze Heating and Air will ever go is probably like 12 to 13. We'll probably bring on a full-time install/service manager, another dispatcher, another tech, and maybe another install crew. But like, that's max.
I love that. I love this perspective because I'm so glad. I know that I don't know you like Cassie knows you, but you are content to just be where you're at. You're not in this rat race that a lot of us have been in the last 10 years. And I think that's really important for our listeners to understand. Like, if that's what you want and that is what makes you happy and you're giving yourselves the life that you dreamed of, then what's wrong with a small company that just stays consistent?
And the truth is, Karen's company is probably netting more than most that are much double her size or larger.
Well, because she's focused her attention on that and just basically polishing what she and her husband have built, right?
And right. And so that's why I was like, Karen, let's talk about that. And so, and especially like, I don't mind using the differences between Maze and Quality, because we did around that time frame that you and I met. Our company's technically, I guess, we were in 2014-ish. So we're a little bit older than you guys, but you and I, to some degree, started around the same. Like, and when we met, we were about the same size. And then we chose to just go as fast as we could. And you chose to not do that. And there's like, I love that for you. I literally want to trade places with you probably, but
we did the same thing. So I think there's some solace in being content with what you've built instead of, what I did at Sky and what we're doing now at Quality. Is just that massive growth, but it comes with a heck of a lot of stress.
Yeah.
That it does.
Yeah. What made you decide to just focus the way you did and then be content with where you are?
I think part of it, or even a good majority of it, I'm going to say Brian, from his experience working at different companies. So he had worked at small mom and pop places. He has seen them grown. He has seen them go downhill. He has worked for the private companies that get bought out by private equity and see how when corporations come in, how that changes everything, how the focus from the quality of work and the service experience changes to chasing a number. Years ago when he was looking for different jobs, like if it was a number driven business where the techs had quotas, they had to move this amount each call, things like that, he did not want that pressure on him at all, because he's just honest. He's like, if I'm going in, it's a dirty flame sensor, I'm going to clean it. I'm not trying to sell X, Y, and Z, because he's always just wanted to be ethical and over it. And there's nothing wrong with upselling, but he just didn't want the pressure of it. So, and he could see how the burnout from his friends that he would work with would see that also, and the pressure of it and the stress that it adds. And there was one company that when he went to work for, he absolutely loved it. Husband and wife, started out small, too big, boom, went under quick as soon as the cold weather didn't come, as winter came, and it was mild. child. So that's part of it, is he'd seen the struggles of growing too fast, and that side of it being a tech in the field. And then it was just being able to maintain the relationships with the customers. Like,
I think that that's exactly like why everyone starts. I think it's amazing that you guys had the like restraint to like still just keep it there, because I know that that's where it started with Oscar. But like you said, then the cold weather didn't come. And so, in Oklahoma, the cold weather might not come, like every year we get a few weeks and that's it, and then we just taper off and it's manageable. And so for us, we felt like we had to hurry up and have sustainability for everybody, so we weren't that ones that fell back. And there were still probably different ways that we could have done that.
and
Well, I
that's
think,
been the hard part
hindsight's 2020 on that, and you move forward with, I guess the reevaluation of it. But I think with Brian's experience, I love what you're saying about this, because he chose a different path that I think is really awesome for our listeners to hear about, to give them the confidence. They don't have to be in this rat race.
Right.
No, and we all know how hard on the employee side of it is. The guys get frustrated when they don't have the hours, or hey, stay home tomorrow. We don't have work for you tomorrow. Our guys have been, Brian went through that, and he was like, they get 2 days of not having work for me, and I'm going down the line and looking for another job. So that was something that it's not like in writing, but it's kind of an unspoken rule for us, is you're going to get your 40. We're going to take care of you. And we didn't want to be too big where we can't afford to do that for the guys, because when you find good guys, you want to keep them. When you have a good team, you want to do everything you can to be able to keep them happy. You want their families to eat. And I feel like if we grew too fast, like, hey, you can hit that wave, you get that abundance, but is it the longevity going to be there? How do you guarantee the longevity? That was our biggest thing. And him and I both are kind of chicken shits when it comes to things like that.
I don't think you're chicken shits. I think that you're brave to stick what you're saying and what you're doing, because I think that a lot of people are, because we're not always brave, we're like, we've got to push and do whatever we can. And because there's definitely sometimes that like, we might have ran 65 calls today and collected $10,000 or something that you're just like, what the hell, And I think about how much money we spent on that. And now we've got a plan, and we try to look at things by the week and not necessarily the day. But you being able to stay the size that you are is actually a pretty serious win, and I think Heather can have some input on this just fine, like from the financial piece of it, of being able to maintain at a size is not actually doable for everyone.
Yeah.
No, it can be very hard on the financial side. Obviously the smaller that you are, it's a little bit easier to manage, because, with massive growth comes, massive risk because of the wave that we ride in the home service industry. And it's so weather driven that we have little to no control over any of that. I know when we were growing Sky, and Sky was a really small company, I remember saying to Travis, why don't we were so short staffed in the summer, and this is probably back 2015, 2016, 2017. And I said, why don't we just hire more guys in the summer? And his biggest fear that held us back from making that move was, well, I don't want to have to lay him off if we get slow. Now, this is back before, we started seeing, customer attention through memberships and all of them. I mean, this is like in the infancy of Sky's growth. So we went through that too. And I remember being frustrated going, gosh, I just feel like we're leaving so much money on the table. But that's okay, because when you go into your business wanting to keep people employed 40 hours a week, I get it. And so I have to applaud you guys for kind of sticking to that model, because it does work. And it, like I was saying earlier, I think it's a lot less stressful on the financial side as the business owner when you're trying to manage cash flow.
It's a fine line, like during summer. So we have 3 service techs, and there's time during summer I feel like we could easily fill 4 to 5 techs. And I'm like, yeah, that's great for this 3 to 4 months. But what happens for the rest of it? And thankfully this winter's been cold for us. Like, we've been good with running 3 techs and keeping them busy every day. But also the past 2 apprentices that we've hired have worked out really well. And I think it's something we're going to continue to go forward, is that our 2 apprentices, we bring them on, they do install, and then they come on, and typically like February or March is when we start them. So they come in when it's not crazy. They can see a little bit of everything. They start out on install, then they go to service, and they bounce back and forth. And that's been able to lay a really good foundation for the last 2 people that we've brought on.
Oh yeah. And I think that's the perfect time to train them before it
And
gets.
that kind of gives us the flexibility that if we need to throw out a second install team, we've got the means to do it.
I love that. I love the cross training piece of it, because not all installers can do service.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Not at all.
Most service techs can do install, but they don't want to. And not all installers can do service. So I think the cross training is amazing. It's an asset that you can use. If you don't have an install, you can send them out on maintenances or, systems.
And we do a lot of it if someone cancels and we can't move something up, whatever happens, there's an open day, unfortunately, they go with service. And I actually like it because I think it's good for them. And I also think it helped clean up a lot of the little things that installers don't think of where they're running the drain line or running this that's in front of the door on the service side of it, or they notice something that's crooked, just like little things. Oh, I didn't zip tie this part. I definitely should have. Like, I think when they go back in a different mindset from the service side of it, it pieces everything together for them.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing too that I was thinking about, like before our conversation, is it doesn't matter the size that you are. And this is probably, I hope this is helpful to people listening, because it doesn't really matter what size you are, is still the shit, right? That's one thing Karen and Karen has called me multiple times and she's like, hey, this just happened. This is how I handled it. Did I do that right? And, there's a couple times, one time Kelly was in my office and I'm like, Kelly's got you on, I'm on speakerphone, and Kelly pops in and she's like, yeah, girl, no, immediately I'm like, girl, we just dealt with something just like that last week. So I think sometimes, and maybe it's not everybody, maybe Cassie's just like an idiot over here. I almost felt like for years that the bigger we grew, the more we would figure it out. And some of the issues that we were having at that smaller level weren't going to be our issues at that bigger level. Well,
that's true. That is true.
I just felt like, we would grow faster and then we wouldn't have these issues. The employees would just all love it. And then
you just have new issues.
No, you just have new issues, right?
New issues or bigger issues.
But they're most of the time, Karen, the exact same issue. It just might be more complex because it's now affecting more bodies.
Yes.
But every single time that you have called me, she called me one time about a customer that was like basically trying to blackmail them. And I'm like, no, stand your ground. That was one thing that I could give her the advice on, was you want to cave to them right now because you're small and you think that they have the upper hand. But basically, we're not doing that. Like, you did everything right. So maybe that's the one thing that experience has given us. But at the end of the day, like, the things that you think are like you're burning, it's burning you down right now, right? How many times have you called? We chatted and I'm like, girl, this is normal.
Just happens. Like, it's just always something crazy. And it's the first time you go through it, you're like, all right, I think this is what I'm going to do. But then I'm always like, all right, am I going to sleep tonight? Is this going to keep me up for the next 4 nights? Because we want to be at peace,
Yeah.
Like, we're humans, we make mistakes. It's, we always say it. It's not when shit happens, but it's how you deal with it. It's not if, it's when, and it's how you deal with it, because something's going to go down, and how you handle it is what speaks volumes to everything.
The trades are just different. So, we at Quality, we have a new HR director, and he's amazing, but he did come from a corporate world. And every day, he's been with us for like 2 months. Every day I'm like, told you the trades were different, buddy. Like, some of the things that we deal with, he's just like, is it what? And I'm like, you're dealing with the difference of hands-on men and women versus previous computer clerical type things. And the responses, the employee relationship is different. The employee engagement's different. The employee communication is different. And it's just like the trades are different, man.
We are unlicensed therapists, whether it's for our team, coworkers, or customers. Like, we truly are unlicensed therapists in this industry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is so true.
For our customers, because think about this, like, okay, and let's give an example. Okay. In the corporate world, let's say, I always talk about Best Buy because I work there. maybe you worked for Best Buy and you were going to do the customer service in person, or you're going to do customer service over the phone or like that, right? Even like there at Best Buy, they would have like a delivery driver take something in, but they're in and out, right? Our people, our technicians, we're going to a customer's house, and like at Best Buy, they would be buying something that was fun for them. So they're excited, right? We're sending our technicians into homes where something's broke, and it's going to cost these people some sort of money that they probably didn't expect. And they are emotionally spent and emotionally driven. And then we're sending these men and women into this house to go and do the job, but also handle that.
I hate the ones where it's an elderly customer and they don't have the money, but you just can't
But we're not going to leave them.
We're not going to leave them high and dry. Yeah. It's not the right thing to do as a human. And you don't get that on the corporate side of things. Corporations don't care.
Well, and it's not even that they don't care. It's just not the same. Talking to your, when you call for tech support for AT&T or something like that, and talking to them on the phone. And we've heard those stories, right? Where that call center rep on the other end of the phone, like really gave great feedback and great, like really met that person there and was like, helped them through a crisis, a moment of pain. We're in the house with that. And so when you say therapist, like that truly happens. Karen, you're not going to believe what I'm doing right now. I'm buying a new car, Heather, but literally
Can I send you my text messages from the dealership just now, literally?
Me and Karen are always buying a new car at the same time. And then I'll be like, hey, I'm about to buy this. And she's like...
No, I already had it.
Don't give it. We're leaving this in the audio, okay? So
but what are you buying?
Yukon Denali. What are you doing?
I think I'm getting rid of my Escalade and going back to BMW.
You hated the BMW.
No, I loved my 740. The X7, I didn't drive much. I miss my 740. And I think that's what I'm going back to. They literally just texted me.
Then tell me, okay, you'll have these cars, and what do you drive most of the time?
2008 Honda Accord.
Cassie told me she's buying a new car, and I said, I just bought a brand new Toyota 4Runner. It was like $50,000. Yes. I love it.
She's like, is this 4Runner? I was like, Heather, we're not the same. Like, I am now kind of a brat. Okay. But every single time I'll be like, Karen, I'm about to buy this. And she's like, I just traded mine in.
Literally, like in June, when I bought my Genesis, I'm at the dealership in finance, signing the papers, and I get a video chat from Cassie at the pool talking about, what are we driving today? I'm car shopping online. And I'm like, girl, send her a video back. Here, I'm signing my name. Here's another purchase.
Right.
But I do drive the Honda because this guy goes everywhere with me.
Yes.
So I don't always put him in my new car.
Yes. So, okay. We kind of got our audio jacked up for a minute, so we had to bring it back in. And so, Karen, can we talk about your dog?
Yes.
Like
which
what
one?
Happened? That one, Axel. So what happened and how you have this dog now?
So it's literally almost a year to the day that our neighbor had a mental health breakdown and broke into our house at 1 p.m. on a Saturday, assaulted my husband, tried to steal 3 cars.
Holy.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the middle of broad daylight.
Wow.
And so they got this dog. I mean, and then Karen, I remember talking to her back then. She had posted on Facebook and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then she lives in an area that's not like Oklahoma, Heather, that we are the Wild West here. Heather was like, did you know this about like stuff in Oklahoma? I was like, yeah, we're the Wild West.
Oh, it's a constitutional carry state. I was telling you, I watched the documentary. I was super excited. I was like, oh my God.
Not Maryland. Maryland is not a ground state. It is a retreat
Neither is Oregon.
state.
Oregon has crazy gun laws.
Yes. We should have ran out the back door basically before we would have done anything. We would have gone to jail if we would have defended our property.
That's crazy. So I personally don't want to get too political, but I don't agree with that. But anyway, so they got Axel.
Yes.
And that dog, it will eat someone's ass at this point. I'd watch it. I'd be scared. I'd be like, with Axel,
He is the sweetest thing you can imagine. He is a trained canine. He went through 6 months of training and certification. He's going back in a couple weeks for just a little tune-up. He'll continue training for the rest of his life, but he is truly the sweetest thing. Belgian Malinois are a lot of work, but he's not near as hard as we expected or as crazy. He's curled up in the chair, and he'll stay next to me until I move. He is my shadow. We thought bulldogs were needy and Velcro dogs.
Yeah. She has a bulldog. Well, do you still have your bulldog?
Yeah, I still have Bella.
You had 2 though. One passed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Bulldogs are a different breed of crazy, but actually I think our neighbor has the same type of dog as you do. And Oscar was telling me like all the training that he was like, that dog has to be, we live on 21 acres and they live on not a lot, but a section of land like that too. And it's crazy how trained that dog is because our dogs will try to like be friends with him and he ain't having it. They'll like talk for a minute through the fence, or through the barbed wire. And then our dogs will try to go over there and but that dog's never coming on our side. And then he'll go sit down and like protect the house. And I'm like, I might need that. But anyways, that was crazy. So you've been through some things lately in the last year. How has it, like, emotionally, sometimes people don't realize like the emotional burden that happens when you have something traumatic happening in your life, but almost can't matter because you are responsible for other people's lives.
It was really, really hard to function on work. Like, I will be bluntly honest with you that I had to dig my head out of my own rear end and focus on it. I mean, and it probably took it happened February 2nd, and court and everything ended up getting resolved by the end of March. But we ended up in court almost once a week during
my
that whole
gosh.
time, whether it was for the restraining orders, because it ended up being like three separate cases: restraining order, the breaking in, and then before that, November, he tried to break into our nephew's car, and we like did a heart to heart with the mom, even though he's 35 years old. Like, we went up there and talked to the mom, like, hey, do what you got to do to keep him off our property. It's recorded. We have a year and a day to press charges. So we brought that case back up against him. So we were consumed by court, and I feel like I just couldn't even start to process and move past things until court was settled. And then that brought a whole slew of things of somebody looking at 21 years and they get 90 days. That just doesn't sit right. So there was definitely a lot of PTSD going on with that. And I don't use that lately, but if I would see them drive down the driveway or I was coming up, like, I would start shaking and having anxiety. It
But
was
then you were
definitely a
still
challenge.
responsible for running a business.
Yeah, and that was hard. And I
That's
will say,
the
I do
part.
think the business suffered because I
Yeah.
was not clear, and I was trying, like, feel like I probably let the schedule get too late and then trying to fill it at the last minute. And like, but we're only
That-
human.
You're only human, but that's the thing that, like, is you don't know what's going on in people's lives, and we have to remind ourselves that, like, as owners, we are still just human beings and things are happening and we can only manage one at a time sometimes. And
Yeah.
I don't know that we always give ourselves enough grace or others give us enough grace because we're supposed to just be on and perfect all the time and not actually have anything in our life happen.
Yeah, we're just supposed to be able to bury it and show up and just keep pouring from an empty cup at times. And I mean, like, it had disrupted our whole day today. And I am a creature of habit. I'm OCD. I need my routine. Like, we couldn't let our son ride the bus anymore because they had a kid back there and we have a long driveway and I wasn't taking the chance of them interacting on the bus. And so, like, we had to take him to school, pick him up from school. So, like, just changing the routine, that was a change. That's a struggle. There's finally one day that I was just like, all right, I have to just suck it up, put my big girl panties on and focus and get us out of this hole that we're in, because it definitely happened. It definitely did. It consumed Brian and I both.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you guys for getting through that and doing what you did to
Yeah,
get
that's
through
definitely
it. And May's
quite a
keeping
lot.
it
Thank you.
entertaining. There's a lot of, like, don't forget to celebrate your win. That's a core value at Quality. But I think anytime that I'm ever talking to someone, I'm like, about any type of thing that's going on in their business, I'm like, we're so guilty of not celebrating the win because we're so focused on right now, but we don't, like, give ourselves any credit for what we've gone through the last 365 days.
Well, for anything, I mean, like, the last 4 years for the industries, like, we should really be celebrating our wins way more from all of the craziness that's gone on in the industries, from coming out of COVID, the inflation on the prices, the equipment shortages, CO2, because let's be honest, that transition was a joke. And then here we are again.
Yeah. And then they were, like, going into this new, like, presidency and all of this, and everyone's like, what are you doing to prepare? And do you think it's going to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, as a millennial, I'm tired of saying I've survived something. Okay.
Yes.
But second of all, if we've survived all this, we're fine. Okay. Just, we know what to do. Quit. The sky's not falling, and we are not subscribing to that anymore because we did.
I think we just need to keep ourselves educated and realize that we have all these issues that are coming down the pipeline in the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical space, but we can't focus on the stuff we don't have any control over.
And let it burn you down. Sometimes people want you to have such a plan for something that you have no idea how to plan for, that we quit just doing this we know how to do.
Yeah, and so you do what you know how to do, and then you plan to pivot once you have more information in the direction that you can go. I'm not saying not to be prepared or to prepare your team for, having to pivot quickly or make massive changes depending on some of the stuff that we know is in the works. But the whole R32 and R454, nobody knew, like, okay, when are the manufacturers going to start manufacturing again? What is the government going to approve? We don't have any control over that.
Right.
No, and I think this might be worse than the CO2 transition. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I feel like we've had more struggles already with equipment in the transition.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Karen, I love you. I love getting to chat with you. I love
Always,
your
Cassie.
story. I love your story. We need to do something.
I told Brian about doing the podcast. I was like, I really want to go to Oklahoma and go out there and see how.
Well, you should come to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, but like we need to meet at the beach or something.
Absolutely. Let's go.
We got to do something. And Heather, you got to come. Like you would literally love her. And it's
We have a beach house in Delaware.
Okay. I mean, I have no problem getting on a plane. Cassie knows this.
Yeah, we got planes. She's coming from the other side of the world. But immediately, for me, the beach is Florida.
Yes, I agree.
So maybe, but you do go down there some too. So maybe that's where we got to meet. I got to look at the Florida. Delaware.
I love Florida.
So anyways, I love you. I appreciate you jumping on with us. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all the things that you've accomplished and you've gone through. And I can't wait to see what keeps coming from Maze, and have a hell of a 2025, girl.
Same to you guys. Appreciate you.
Love talking to you.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review at Apple. And make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.